Hi Halloweenies, I'm Ozzy the Horror Cub. Take a trip with me to Haddonfield because it's time to review Halloween 2018. Let's get into it. This film, taking place 40 years after the original, would see a retconning of the Halloween franchise. The only films that exist in this Michael Myers continuity are Halloween 1978 and now Halloween 2018. Directed by David Gordon Green and produced by Blumhouse, this film would see the return of Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, coming back to the franchise. A reimagining of the property would take place. This is all a part of David Gordon Green and his brand new trilogy that he's bringing to the Halloween franchise, and I am here for it. Now in these films, Michael Myers and Laurie Strode are not brother and sister. 40 years have passed since the events of the original Halloween, and Laurie Strode is traumatized. Living out on the outskirts of Haddonfield, Laurie has barricaded herself into her house. She has made it so that nobody could get in or out. She has totally Kevin McAllistered, Home Alone this house to the T. She is ready to get Michael Myers, and he is not going to stand a chance because she is going to set him on fire. Laurie is a badass in this movie. Jamie Lee Curtis comes back to this property, and she sells the role of Laurie Strode because she understands the trauma of the character. This is a woman who has had no support for 40 years, and what I loved about this movie is it's all about generational trauma. It's all about three Strode women. It's about Laurie Strode, it's about Karen Strode, but it's also about Allison. Allison is the 17-year-old newcomer, ingenue to the series. Andi Matichak does an amazing job with this character. She brings the exact same sincerity that Jamie Lee Curtis brought to the original role back in 1978. She's fierce, she's resilient, and I really do think that we're going to see her shine in Halloween Kills. We didn't really get to have a lot of moments in this movie to see Andi shine as a final girl. I would have loved to have seen a chase scene with her. You've got this great scene later on in the film where a chase could happen between her and Michael, and it doesn't actually go to anywhere, but the music behind it is utterly fantastic. John Carpenter returns to the franchise, not only as an executive producer to help with script detailing, also comes on board to be the composer for the film and try to help give his creative control to the property. Really does add a lot back to the Halloween franchise. This is the man that gave birth to the series. This is the father of the Halloween series. So there's a lot of respect to Carpenter, and he really does help David Gordon Green hone the script and hone the cinematography that they set out with in this movie. This movie is a different feel from the original Halloween cinematography wise. However, there are moments that recreate Dean Cundey's iconic work. Obviously, Michael Myers breaks free after a prison transcape after 40 years, and when he gets back into Haddonfield, he steals his mask back from these two podcasters. We're gonna get into Aaron and Data a little bit later, and he gets to have this beautiful moment where he gets to go into Haddonfield and basically kill a bunch of the civilians. This is such a homage to Dean Cundey's cinematography, the way the camera moves. Not all the time does it feel like a Carpenter film. This does feel very David Gordon Green, as well as Danny McBride. So it's very much like that Pineapple Express aesthetic. I love the line, "I got peanut butter on my penis." Sorry about it. The way that Michael Myers moves throughout the neighborhood as he's stalking the civilians and how he's killing them off one by one, the tracking shot is just so Dean Cundey. It's so reminiscent of Halloween 2, and that's what this movie is going to give you. This movie's going to give you all the zhuzh in the entire world. It's taking the best elements from the Halloween franchise that have come before it and reinventing it. A great example of that is the gas station sequence where Michael Myers attacks Aaron and Dana to try and get back his mask. This is so reminiscent of the gas station sequence in Halloween H2O. Laurie standing outside the classroom, a direct reference to the original Halloween. This movie's gonna have a lot of tongue-in-cheek moments like that, and if you're a Halloween fan of the series, you're gonna get every single one of those nods, and you're either gonna appreciate it or you're not. For me, I appreciate it though. I think this movie does a great job of rebooting the storyline of the Michael Myers and Laurie Strode saga. This is Michael Myers returning back to Haddonfield, and the way that we're introduced to the character again is simply fantastic. It's through the lens of two podcasters, Aaron and Dana. The characters in this movie I absolutely adore. You actually do feel sympathy for them. You actually do get character arcs for a lot of them, and you get to go on their journey. Aaron and Dana go to Smith's Grove because they want to work with Dr. Lundy Sartain, Michael's new doctor, hashtag the new Dr. Loomis. They really want to uncover what makes Michael tick. In their previous podcast, they shed new light on a murder investigation from years previous, and that's what they're hoping to do with Michael and Laurie. Shed new light on the case. Why did Michael do do what he did in 1978. We get this great sequence where we're reintroduced to the Michael Myers mask as well as Michael Myers, and we're seeing him for who he is, a man. There is a bit of a supernatural edge that is put onto the character later on in this film, hence his ability to withstand bullets, but for the most part this is a man breaking free, and it's a man committing these crimes. Michael Myers in this film is played by James Jude Courtney, and I do think he's hands down one of the best Michael Myers we have ever seen since Nick Castle. Nick Castle is also back. He does have a great cameo performance as Michael, doing the iconic head tilt the first time that he sees Laurie Strode when she shoots him in the mirror. But the second that we're seeing James Jude Courtney, I absolutely adore this interpretation of the character because he does come off as a man, but there is something more, a lot of brute strength as this Michael Myers. I absolutely adore how he moves throughout every scene. It's so reminiscent of Nick. This is a great interpretation of Michael. Even the sit-up that he does at the very end of the movie, I was getting like Nick Castle 1978 vibes, down the house boots gaga. The music in this film, having Carpenter back, really does add a lot to it. The Shape Hunts Allison is a great song. Then you get the iconic Halloween theme opening. It's introduced with a brand new pumpkin opening credit, and if you know me, you know that I love a great pumpkin opening credit from the Halloween series. Halloween 1 and Halloween 2 have great pumpkin iconic opening sequences, and I'm always craving another pumpkin sequence. And finally they give it to us. They give us the 1978 pumpkin being resurrected back to life. The second that I saw that pumpkin come on the big screen on opening night in 2018, I cried. I lost it. I absolutely lost it. Because no matter what this movie does, it's trying its absolute best to do the retelling of the Halloween story, but really push it into a new direction and really give us new, fresh, and creative kills. Kills in this movie are great because some of the kills are left to your interpretation, like Michael killing the Mrs. Elrod character. Now the kill where he shanks that next door neighbor in the head, that is one of my favorite kills in this movie. I also love the creativity of Michael in this film too. The way he takes Vicky's body and overlays the ghost costume on top of her like he was wearing in Halloween 1978, or the fact that he carves out the two cops that are reminiscent of the characters from Halloween 5, and he carves out the one guy's head like a pumpkin. Michael is so creative, and I'm here for it in this film. Now this film, Michael and Laurie are not brother and sister. Laurie's going on this whole journey of trying to get her family back together because she knows that Michael has escaped. Now Karen, her daughter, she's played by Judy Greer. Children's Aid had to step in and take her away from Laurie. So there's a great disconnect between these two characters, and the fact that she didn't let her see Andy Matichek's character, Allison, throughout all those years. That's why she calls her grandmother, because the relationship is so strained. She doesn't call her grandma because she's not close to her, so I kind of get the aesthetic that they were going for. You do really get the sense though that Jamie Lee Curtis is back as a warrior. Yes, she has the trauma of what happened to her in 1978, but she's here to protect her family, and the way that she's Kevin McAllister at her house, she's ready for Michael. But this movie asks the question, is Laurie the intended target of Michael, or is Michael just on a reckless, aimless path? And I feel like we're about to discover that in Halloween Kills, that he's trying to get back to his childhood home. In this movie though, it's set up that Laurie is really the Dr. Loomis character in this film. She's the one stalking him. She's the one trying to finish him off. It's Dr. Sartain that brings Michael to Laurie at the very end for the finale of this film, and the finale of this film is incredible. We have to go through the shit show reveal that Dr. Sartain is actually evil and kills Frank Hawkins. Frank Hawkins is on the police force. He's been trying to catch Michael all night because he knows that the bus crashed, and he knows about Michael because back in 1978, he was the first person that reprimanded Michael on the scene, took him into custody, and made sure that Dr. Loomis didn't kill him. Now Frank is ensuring that he's gonna kill Michael tonight, and that's driving Sartain nuts. Sartain wants Michael Myers out in the open so that he can study him killing people. He wants to know what Michael gets out of killing people. When the twist happens, when he does kill Frank, after Frank has just run over Michael, I just felt like I was done dirty. When the twist happened, I just wasn't ready for it, and it felt dirty. It's very reminiscent of Halloween 6, having the Man in Black character, having someone from the inside help Michael Myers out. I wasn't here for it, but I get what they were doing because they needed Sartain drive Michael to get to Laurie. They needed a way for Laurie and Michael to meet up for the finale of this movie. But when the finale of this movie does happen and Michael gets to this house, there's a lot of great tension. I love that Laurie has the booby trap under the island. She gives me life. The fact that Karen doesn't know how to hold the gun and then immediately shoots Michael and says, "Gotcha," it just gives me life. I really do hope we get to explore Judy Greer's character because I feel like there's just so much more there that they can work with. The mask in this film is hands down one of the best masks that we've ever seen since the 1978 film. The music in this film is hands down probably the best music that we've seen since the original Halloween. David Gordon Green's direction and the acting within these characters in this movie is probably the best that we've seen in a long time. And maybe that's just because I've had to sit down now and watch every single Halloween in chronological order to do these reviews, but I really do see why this movie shines above its competitors, why it shines above the other sequels. This movie put the effort in to give us a better mask, to give us a better representation of trauma. Halloween 2018 goes there with Laurie Strode going through her addiction crisis, but this movie does confront it in a brave new way. This is a woman who's not running, her face her fear head on, trapping Michael Myers inside the house, setting it on fire, setting us up for one of possibly the best sequels that could exist within the Halloween franchise with Halloween Kills. This movie did a lot of great grunt work, because this movie had to rebuild the franchise from scratch. There was a 10-year break from Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 from this film, and you had the Rob Zombie reimagining films in their multiverse. This was really getting Halloween back on track again, because it's rebooting the franchise, reimagining it, starting it back from the 1978 timeline thread. It's a really great creative way to keep the story going, pushing it to new generations, and helping the Michael Myers mythos expand further into the future. I'm so excited to see what they could do with the sequels of these movies, but for trying to give us a reimagined Halloween story, I'm gonna give this movie an 8 out of 10. It's a thrill ride, it's gonna keep you engaged, lots of great character development, love having Jamie Lee Curtis back, loved having these new characters come into the picture as well. Allison is gonna be a great final girl moving on to the next film. The problem with this film is it ends so abruptly, because David Gordon Green and Danny McBride envisioned this movie as a two-parter. However, they didn't want to put the cart before the horse, so they only did the one film. Then after this film did incredibly well, financially successful, basically 75 million plus opening weekend, they were like, okay, let's greenlight the two other sequels, and now we have Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. Halloween Kills taking place on the exact same night as Halloween 2018. But when this movie ended in movie theaters and we were all sitting there, and it ends with Allison holding the knife after they just set fire to the house, leaving Michael Myers in the basement, we were all shocked because it did feel like an abrupt ending. It did feel like there was more to the story, and there was more to the story, we just weren't getting it until the sequel. It is a great standalone movie, it is a great connector to the Halloween 1978 mythos. A lot of the Halloween 1978 fans are going to complain because they want Michael Myers to be the stalker character. Deep down, that's what I want Michael to be too. I want him to be more in the background than the Jason Voorhees type killer. However, modern day horror movie audiences aren't savvy to that. Modern day horror movie audiences want fast-paced action, and that's what this movie delivers. It's a more fast-paced Michael Myers. Gone is he standing in the shadows, he's more embraced it and full-on boogeyman. Serial killer going after people left and right. This film I thought was highly enjoyable from start to finish. Bring us in with the podcasters was a clever idea because it got us back into the Halloween mythos. It gave us a taste of having Dr. Samuel L. Loomis's voice. It gives you nods to the other Halloween movies. Great character development with Jamie Lee Curtis. Great acting with all the other supporting characters. I think you're gonna really enjoy this Halloween movie. It ranks top 5 in my Halloween franchise ranking. I'm so excited for Halloween Kills, but I need to know, what did you guys think about David Gordon Green's 2018 Halloween? Let me know down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and smash that like because next time we're going to be reviewing Halloween Kills. Until next time, stay spooky.